Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Martinez, and I am here to talk about my essay artifact from English 1301. Now, this topic is about the intricacies of making a movie and how it communicates to the audience. Now, a film, to me at least, is a medium that most, if not all, can call an art form. An art form that can relate to a person enjoying it due to the artist's vision. Though, I would say, in order to make the vision, the artist must go through a process. And like many other types of art, the process is very lengthy and and takes time, of course. Though for filmmakers, they like to call this process the production process. Now, the production process has at least one, two, three. It has four parts to it: the development, pre-production, production, and post-production. And I'm gonna go through a little bit about what they're all about, and maybe an example here and there on how they can kind of help you communicate, like help you, the audience, communicate with the movie itself and what it's trying to present. So here we go. For now, we're on development. To start off, this is really just the basis of the production process, the whole basis of it, um, where the director of the film has an idea, where it's inspired by other ideas, whether that be from his from his own volition or most of the time, let's be honest here, uh, it's through an actual event or literature, personal experiences, or even historical events. It's said that it's often the occurrence that if you are using literature or historical pieces, you want to secure the rights to the author or any sort of organization that could help you out with said information, in order to for them to help you out and with the story and the eventual script, so that way if it's to see if it's accurate as well. Though after that, once that takes place, you the director, the director, um, they start to process the title, the character descriptions, the theme of the story, that type of thing. The little basis of what your little project, your film project, is going to end up being, which is great. Though, once you got that covered, you just got to keep brainstorming and brainstorming until you have multiple drafts of the work and you make a bunch of tweaks to the story. Um, so that way it fits to your vision. After that, you got to send it to a writers guild of any country of any sort, or the copyright office of the country, so that it can be approved. After all, you can't have the project without it being approved. But after that, you could either start the production yourself because it'll be approved, or you could just sell the script to someone else, usually a producer. Um, an example of this process kind of being taken place would be a film like Lord of the Rings, for example. Let's take Lord of the Rings. You have this established literature, so you already have that covered. So all the director has to do is you have to secure the rights, which they had to because the creator of the book, you have to go through in order to even make the movie in the first place. Um, so once you have that, they're close together with the project. You figure out the story and the characters, which for most movies you have to figure it out. But for this example specifically, um, it's an adaptation, so there would be a little bit of change. There would be changes to the characters and story to adapt it to a film like setting. You gotta keep brainstorming to see, oh, you could change this, we could change that. You gotta keep drafting. Like, oh, this draft is kind of okay, but it could use improvement. This you keep brainstorming. You make a draft, and then you got a finished product to which you send it to the guild, like you're supposed to, and then they give you the okay, and they started working on the film. Though development is only the first part. We have three other parts. Now, the next process here, pre-production. Now, pre-production is where once you finish the development the process, and you decided to make a film out of it with all your ideas and it being approved and stuff, you gotta make a business plan and have people raise money for the movie, which if you're an independent producer of a company, um, you would have to raise the money. If you're part of a big movie studio like, I don't know, Warner Brothers or Disney, this doesn't really apply to you. The studio is going to give you the money in order to do it. But even then, you still have to break down the script. You still have to investigate the amount of shooting days. You still have to budget. You still have to make the schedule per day. And even then, you're not even done. You still have to contact the local film commission. You have to scout locations for where you're going to film your shots. You got to lock them in advance before you shoot. You got to contact the local government to make sure that when you're shooting a movie for a location, the fire department, the police department know in case of anything happens, or if they need a street for a movie, if they need that street specifically, they need to know because then they can just block out that street for filming. It's for that reason. But once that's over with, we got the fun part, which is picking the right actors. Now this is probably the part where I'd say it affects the audience a lot. The performance, I mean. They play a big process, as if you got an unsuitable actor for the roles, your movie could fall apart really quickly. And for that, directors have to go through tons and tons of people in order to decide to suit an actor for the role that they're making. Though after that, the equipment comes next. So you gotta contact the right people in order to get them. Then you have to have a crew to operate the equipment and to operate the whole set. Then you have to assign roles in that regard. Who's the audio professional, photographer, or photographer, that kind of thing. Then is the production design, where you gotta make the sets, you gotta make the wardrobe, the props, the set design. This also plays a really big part in communication because it has to have cohesion with the story in order to make the film good for immersion's sake. If you don't have that, your movie is not going to be as great as it would be, which is not what you want at the end of the day. Now, after you got that over with, production. So finally, this is what most people think when you think of film production. This is where the main part goes in. Where after that, where you gotta shoot the film, right? And it's only that. No, you have to consider other things too. For example, you gotta set aside money for food and drinks for everyone involved in the development process for every shooting day. The cast and crew has to be there when they have to be. Their makeup and hairstyles has to be applied for every single day, and in some cases, multiple shots because they have to change wardrobes for some cases. Now, after that's over with, you have to have the director meet with every cast and every crew in order to tell them, hey, this is what we're doing on this specific day, and this is how we're gonna do it, and this is how many scenes we're gonna do, and that's what we're gonna, and that's what we're gonna do, guys. So he sends them off, and while that happens, after every single piece of equipment and setting is up, there comes the time of filming, where actors give it their all, and they act in their roles respectively, which is, again, a big part of the communication factor of a film. All the while, the director is looking at the people who are doing the work, the acting, the 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 photo photography, the video photography, the productions, the productioners, the the other the other crew, and they're looking at them to make sure that, hey, you need to do these improvements, and they have to do improvements across multiple shots of possibly the main scene repeatedly at the very least. So after the shooting session, the director will wrap it up and will tell her to return the next day and begins the process again. This process goes on for like 5 to 9 months usually, which is insane to think about. It takes that long to make a movie, and there's so many on release. Astonishing, isn't it? This is where the effects of the props, the shots, and the wardrobes, the makeup, the set design. This is where all of it comes together and presents itself on the film, which is a good thing. That is a big part of the communication too. Not just the acting in pre-production where you have to say, "Oh, I have to pick an actor." The props, the shots, the wardrobe, the makeup, etc. That is also a really big part in the communication of it. Finally, after production, we got post-production. So this is where this could affect the audience the most, because this is where, depending on the film, you're gonna have some iconic things in here. So to start off, you have editing footage. You have to edit the footage, and you have to decide what's best with video editors, stuff like with video editors. Um, where you have to decide which takes the best. You gotta assemble the footage into scenes, and you gotta improve the film by altering certain parts that just don't work, or some parts in order to make it work in general. You gotta screen the film for a test audience after the film is edited. In case that's a group of kids, a group of adults, or even company executives, so you can see how well your film does. Now, to be honest, I mean, those groups I just mentioned, it depends on the genre you're making. I mean, you're not gonna show um, a gangster flick to a group of 5-year-olds. I don't think that's gonna be a thing now. So after that comes the visual effects, where they improve the color, they digitally enhance the shots, and of course they add digital effects, to which they put it back into the final movie when they're editing it, of course. Then you gotta edit the opening and the credits and the end credits to the movie, and you have to check to see if you have anything else to improve. After that, they work with the audio, with editing the dialogue from the actors. They have to re-record it in specific cases. They have to add sounds and sound effects and ambience, just so that way the scene is just really clean sound wise. This is a very important part. Hell, hell, this is a very important part of communicating the audience, because through sound, as no matter what film you're making, at least in this century of time that we live in, 21st century, at the 21st century, we have to make a film with sound. And the reason why is because it brings to life the scenes through adding the different emotions to them. If you have if you have the wrong sound effect for a specific scene, it's not gonna deliver the scene well. Just how like the actors can't deliver it well if they're doing something wrong, the sound effects can't deliver the scene well if it has something wrong with it as well. Same thing goes with the music, which surprisingly is also the next part of this process, where you have to we have to compose it, to which it also is the same case with audio effects as I just said. It adds even more emotion, because of course it does, and it makes the audience more invested. Remember, music I'd say is probably one of the more powerful ones because like it it can really affect certain scenes. There are some songs in movies that are just beautiful because it matches so well with the scene, and it's more rememberable for the person. A person's gonna remember. A person may remember the song more than the visuals, and vice versa. Honestly, depends on the person, but there's a reason those two are the primary subjects because those two are just the essentials of a movie, at least in this time and day, of course. But after that, once the music and audio are edited, after the I have to edit that after the music and audio are finally edited um, into the film, you have the final film. And now it's done. It's ready for distribution, advertising, and everything. It can be released in theaters after that, and it is just done. So, I can say through this process, the film art form is something that in a lot of cases it takes quite a lot of time and effort in order to achieve. It's a the production process presented here is a good topic since it's one that most know about as evident of the production part of the process, but they don't know the details of it, the full details at the very least, which is why I decided to say let's present it. I hope you enjoyed this little video of mine, me going through the little process and giving some examples to it, and I hope you have a good day. Take care.